AP World History, writing a request for an extra document. Why an extra document? The Advanced Placement Board wants to see if you can see what is missing from the document selection they gave you. In history, it is important to recognize what is missing from the story of history. And so this is what they're trying to get you to do. They're trying to get you to act as a historian and see what is missing. It's a much easier process to um, write history if you can see the holes in history. And then you go out and you research and you find what is missing and what you're looking for to plug it in to give a better overall view of the argument or the debate or the historical event. Okay, additional documents. They must be possible. They must be relevant. So first off, they have to be possible. You can't ask for a, a journal of a caveman. Okay, the caveman couldn't write. The caveman, of course, had no concept of that. So you can't ask for a journal of it. That's a far-fetched example, but you also can't ask for a diary of a female slave without giving context. Okay, because the female slave was punished if she learned to write, so she wouldn't have been using a diary. So she would have to be free before that happened. So if you want that caveat to be in there, then you have to include it. It must be relevant. You can't be talking about the global flow of silver and the economic trade routes, and then all of a sudden just start talking about modern cars and Henry Ford. Okay, so it it has to be relevant to the documents that you have. So it has to fit within those other documents and within the overall thesis prompt. And it can't already be present. You can't just ask for the same document again, obviously. You need to include the who, the what, and the why. So first, who. Explain who the document would be from. So you say this is a document from a government official. You don't need the name of the person. You just need the concept. This would be a document of a freed slave. This would be, or the who, a freed slave. Um, so the who is important. Always list it in the request for your extra document. What? Explain what type of document. So it's not enough just to say document. You have to say um, journal, letter, public speech, graph, uh, census. So you need whatever concept that fits within your prompt. You need the what. Explain what it is. It's not enough to say document. Why? Explain why you need it. You have to tell them why you want it. So if you're discussing the global flow of silver in the world, and you're looking at South American silver mines, and you want a perspective of a worker, so the why is I want to understand the lifestyle of the silver worker, the worker in the silver mines, how he lived. So now we have to look at, okay, what kind of document is that going to be? Well, maybe a survey done by a rich Spanish aristocracy member who was there, and who Spanish aristocracy, and then what type a survey, and the why to understand the plight of the silver mine worker. So that's a kind of gives you an encapsulation of the whole um, thing that you need for an extra document. Here's some examples. Indentured servitude, DBQ example. Perhaps other historical documents that could have been shown would have been an indentured servant's first-hand account. Well, this one's not possible because indentured servants didn't leave first-hand accounts. They weren't taught to write. The second example, a letter of a servant once they were free and entered society about what it was like to be a servant in colonial America. This is possible. A freed slave or freed slaves and servants did learn to read and write after being freed, and so you could have that perspective. The outline. So first you have your thesis, and your paper must have a thesis addressing the prompt. you need to put your thesis at the beginning of your paper and not at the end, because if you put it at the end, most likely your whole essay is garbage because you don't even know what you're talking about. Group 1 is really paragraph 1. In that group 1 topic sentence, you're going to address the group's title. So if you're talking about the global flow of silver and the social effects, you might be, that first group 1 might be the social effects of the global flow of silver and the documents that are associated with it. So it might be document 3, 4, 5. So then you're going to take those documents and you're going to talk about them individually and how they apply to the thesis. Then you're going to take the point of view of one of the documents and you're going to address it. So you're going to talk about its reliability, its perspective, its motive, its bias, any of that kind of stuff. That's your point of view. And then you're going to have your additional document. Your additional document is, remember, it has to not already be present. It must be possible. And of course, it must discuss the 3 W's, the who, the what, and the why. Who, in a broad perspective, wrote it. What type of document is it? Is it a letter, a diary, whatever? And then why? Why do you need it? What does it bring to the table that isn't already represented in that group? So group 2 is just paragraph 2. Repeat the process with a topic sentence, and then your supporting documents that support the thesis, and then your point of view on one of those documents, and then an additional document not represented within that group. And then you repeat in group 3. You have your topic sentence again, addressing the documents that you've grouped together, maybe it's documents 7 and 8. Then you have your documents, you discuss each one and how it supports the thesis. Then your point of view, reliability, motive, bias again, perspective, and then your additional document addressing group 3 or paragraph 3 that isn't already present, that is that addresses the who, the what, and the why again. And then your conclusion, you have a conclusionary statement. This is usually where people just restate their thesis. That is the best option for you. And so if all you have to do is look at your original thesis and you know what your conclusion will be.